Girls Trip. Now she's an Emmy winner, the star of the new film.
Before Hollywood knew her name, Tiffany Haddish was just a girl who survived the unthinkable, using laughter as her only way out. She didn't have a famous last name, powerful connections, or an easy path to the spotlight. What she had was pain, and the courage to turn that pain into comedy. From living in foster homes to performing stand-up in dingy clubs where no one laughed, she kept showing up, night after night, chasing a dream that the world said wasn't made for someone like her. Then one day, everything changed. The woman who once had to fight just to be heard would soon make the whole world listen. But how does someone rise from homelessness to Hollywood royalty? How does a broken childhood create one of the most fearless voices in modern comedy? This is the story behind the laughter. The truth of Tiffany Haddish. Raw, unfiltered, and unforgettable. Tiffany Sarah Cornelia Haddish was born on December 3, 1979, in South Central Los Angeles, a place known more for struggle than for dreams. Her mother, an African-American small business owner, and her father, an Eritrean refugee, separated when Tiffany was just a toddler. For a time, life felt normal. Then everything changed. When Tiffany was 9, her mother suffered a severe brain injury after a car accident, leaving her unpredictable and violent. Overnight, Tiffany became a parent to her younger siblings, cooking, cleaning, protecting them from the chaos at home. Eventually, social services intervened, and the children were placed in foster care. For years, she drifted between families, often sleeping in strange homes, clinging to her siblings whenever she could. Loneliness and fear became her daily companions. But even then, Tiffany found something powerful: the ability to make people laugh. It was her survival mechanism, her shield against a world that kept breaking her down. One teacher saw that spark and guided her toward a comedy camp, a small stage that would change everything. For the first time, Tiffany realized that her pain could be her purpose, and that laughter could be more than escape. It could be her future. Comedy didn't welcome Tiffany Haddish with open arms. It tested her. In her late teens, she began performing stand-up at small clubs across Los Angeles, armed with nothing but raw stories from her chaotic life and an unshakable will to survive. She bombed countless times, faced hecklers, and was often told she wasn't marketable. But every failure sharpened her timing, her wit, and her voice. She took whatever jobs she could: acting gigs, hostess work, even performing comedy at bar mitzvahs and homeless shelters. Every stage, no matter how small, became her classroom. She learned to own her truth, even when that truth was messy, painful, or ugly. In 2005, she landed tiny roles in shows like That's So Raven and My Name is Earl. For years, she lived on the edges of Hollywood, recognizable to a few, invisible to most. But she refused to quit. Her breakout finally came when she was cast as Nikisha Williams in The Carmichael Show. The role showcased her natural charisma and street-smart humor, the kind that couldn't be faked. People began to take notice. Tiffany Haddish wasn't just another comedian chasing laughs. She was building a voice, a truth, and a style that would one day shake Hollywood to its core. In 2017, Tiffany Haddish went from that funny girl from TV to an overnight sensation, all thanks to a single movie. When Girls Trip hit theaters, her role as Dinah, wild, hilarious, and unapologetically real, stole every scene and every heart. Surrounded by Hollywood heavyweights like Queen Latifah and Jada Pinkett Smith, Tiffany didn't just hold her ground, she became the heartbeat of the film. Critics called her performance electrifying, audiences called her the next big thing, and the industry called her the future of comedy. Girls Trip grossed over $140 million, but for Tiffany, the success meant far more than money. It was validation after decades of pain, rejection, and survival. That same year, she made history as the first black female stand-up comedian to host Saturday Night Live, earning an Emmy Award for her performance. Suddenly, the girl who once lived in her car was standing center stage, the world watching, the lights brighter than ever. Her memoir, The Last Black Unicorn, became a New York Times bestseller, revealing the brutal honesty behind her humor, childhood trauma, heartbreak, and resilience. Instead of hiding her scars, she turned them into punchlines, proving that vulnerability could be power. Hollywood opened its doors. Netflix specials, film offers, red carpet moments, interviews, and global tours. Tiffany Haddish had arrived, loud, fearless, and impossible to ignore. But with fame came something else: pressure, expectations, and scrutiny. Because in Hollywood, when you finally reach the top, that's when the world starts watching for you to fall. Just when Tiffany Haddish had conquered Hollywood, the storm hit. In 2022, a controversial video from her early comedy days resurfaced online, a sketch that some claimed crossed the line. Within hours, her name was everywhere. Trending hashtags, think pieces, public outrage. In an industry quick to crown heroes and even quicker to cancel them, Tiffany became the target. The lawsuit that followed, later dropped, left a permanent bruise on her reputation. She apologized, expressing deep regret that anyone had been hurt. But apologies, in the digital age, rarely heal instantly. The internet doesn't forget. Sponsors backed away, upcoming deals stalled, and the glow of her hard-earned success dimmed overnight. To make matters worse, her public breakup with rapper Common added fuel to the media fire. Every headline seemed to question whether Tiffany Haddish, the woman who made the world laugh, was finally breaking. Behind the humor, the truth was darker. She confessed to feeling lost, fighting loneliness and depression even at the height of her fame. "I've made people laugh through pain my whole life," she once said. "But sometimes the laughter runs out." Her openness about mental health struck a chord, revealing not weakness, but depth. She reminded fans that the road to success isn't a straight line, and that surviving fame can be as hard as earning it. Still, through it all, Tiffany never stopped working. Never stopped believing that the story wasn't over. She'd been broken before, and every time, she found a way to stand up again. Because for Tiffany Haddish, pain has always been more than tragedy. It's the raw material from which she forges her next chapter. After the storm, Tiffany Haddish did what she's always done best. She stood back up. Instead of hiding, she faced her mistakes, made amends, and quietly began rebuilding her name. Hollywood might forgive slowly, but resilience speaks louder than scandal. She returned with a renewed purpose. Tiffany poured her energy into projects that reflected her truth. Films like Haunted Mansion and independent dramas that showcased her emotional depth beyond comedy. She began mentoring young comedians, especially women of color, helping them navigate an industry that had once nearly swallowed her whole. Off-screen, she dedicated herself to causes that hit close to home, supporting foster youth, mental health awareness, and survivors of abuse. "I can't change what happened to me," she said, "but I can change what happens to someone else." Her reinvention wasn't about chasing another hit. It was about reclaiming her peace. She traded Hollywood's chaos for authenticity, fame for purpose. And when she finally smiled again, not the forced smile of a public figure, but the quiet one of a survivor, it felt different, softer, real. Tiffany Haddish was no longer just a comedian. She had evolved into something far greater: a storyteller, a survivor, and a woman who proved that even in Hollywood, laughter can be reborn from pain. Tiffany Haddish's story isn't just about fame. It's about survival, strength, and the power of laughter to heal. From a childhood of instability to a career built on resilience, she turned every scar into a stage and every heartbreak into humor. She broke barriers as the first Black woman to host Saturday Night Live, inspired millions through her honesty, and reminded the world that comedy doesn't come from comfort. It comes from courage. In an industry obsessed with perfection, Tiffany chose truth. She showed that being flawed, vulnerable, and human can be far more powerful than pretending to be perfect. Her journey proves that pain can be transformed into purpose, that laughter isn't the absence of suffering, but the triumph over it. Because Tiffany Haddish didn't just survive Hollywood. She redefined what it means to rise, fall, and rise again. The journey of Tiffany Haddish reminds us that even in the darkest places, a single laugh can light the way. If her story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories behind the stars.